Next, we have Tugwell, who, for a guy whose teams was dog shit, this guy has the best choice to make. He has Diggs or Waller. Right now, if you're going strictly on draft capital, looks like Diggs is the better choice, as he's projected to go early second and be the third receiver off the board. Waller's going to go, looks like early third, but it just comes down to what do you value more? Do you value a guy who could be wide receiver 3 to 6? Last year he was number 1 at some point. Or do you value having a top 3 tight end? Because you roll out of bed every Sunday, you know you're going to get 12 to 20 from your tight end is always something that is very reassuring, helps your draft strategy an absurd amount. You can get very aggressive. You don't have to go with a great quarterback. You can just go with great skill guys. But, I mean, that's a decision that I wish I think everyone would love to have. And then this falls into these two guys, Spellman and Sittler. So these two guys, I mean, you don't have the greatest value. It all depends on where you draft. But, I mean, CMC and Kamara are going to be top 3 to 4 picks this year, guaranteed. So if you are Sittler, if you're Sittler or Spellman, you end up with a top 3 pick, you're probably not going to go CMC or Kamara. You're probably going to keep in Sittler's spot. You get Rodgers. ADP has him going 6th round. That's also because they don't know if he's playing or not.
A risky one right there.
Does have Dobbins, but the only thing that I didn't like about Dobbins is that he wasn't drafted. So he probably could have been drafted. In my other league back home, he was drafted in like the 14th round. So if I keep him, that's almost 11 rounds of value. Is absurd. He's going to be a clear-cut RB2 this year. He averaged 70-plus yards on the ground the last 6 games of the season, and every single game Gus Edwards played. So I don't want to hear Gus Edwards, Lamar taking his touches. Dobbins would be good, but what doesn't help Sittler is that he wasn't drafted. So if he's going in the 2nd round, you lose your 5th-round pick, and then Rodgers, you get 3 rounds of value, but you don't know who he's playing for this year. If I'm Sittler, I'm hoping I get the 10th pick and I end up keeping CMC. And you can get CMC and like an Aaron Jones or a Tyreek Hill if available. And then with Spellman, he really doesn't have an option. If he gets probably a top 5 pick, he's got to go with Aaron Jones. If he gets a bottom 5 pick, you go with Kamara. I mean, that's really that. He told me that he obviously doesn't know who he's taking yet because he needs to know the draft order, but that's what it looks like. He doesn't really have anyone else that's worth being held over. And that will bring us to our rankings. So we're going to start. Obviously, we cannot rank. Get off. Obviously, we can't rank Sittler or Spellman because they simply have no idea who they're taking, and the guys that they are taking, it all comes down to draft position. So we got 1 through 10. 1, we're obviously going to go with Jetta. I mean, to me, he's a middle tier WR1. He's losing his 9th round pick for him. He's getting like 6 rounds of value. He's the best guy that you can keep this year. Next, so in the tier 1, I have Jetta. Then right under him, I'm going to put Antonio Gibson. He had 5 rounds of value. He's going to be a low-end RB1, especially with Cam Akers now going down. I think he slides right into that RB10 spot. So he's a low-tier RB1, but JD's losing his 7th round pick, and he's going to have the best, an elite RB2. Can't be upset with that. Next tier. So those guys, they got Jetta was 5, potentially 6 rounds of value. Antonio Gibson was 5 rounds of value. Next tier, we're going to go with, let's see what we got. We got Hawkinson and CD. You're both getting 4 to 5 rounds of value, at least 4, potentially 5, depending on where you're drafting on these guys. Hawkinson, he's a middle tier tight end 1, but between him being the best option on his team, Goff loving tight ends, and also the next drop-off is you go from Hawkinson to Gronk to Dallas Goedert to Gesicki's to Jonnu Smith's, guys that you don't know what you're going to get. Hawkinson's going to get 8 targets every game. He's going to get a consistent 10-plus points. That's all you need in the tight end.
And the Lions have done a lot this year.
CeeDee Lamb is going 4, 5 rounds, whatever. He's going to be an elite WR2. but he has the potential of WR1 only because Dak's coming back. The man can throw for 400 yards. I think he could potentially lead the league in passing yards. Defense, yeah, they got Micah Parsons. Still not that great. So tier 3, we have the guys that are getting just about a little more than 3 rounds of value. That'll be either Diggs or Waller or Robinson. I mean, good picks. You're going to end up with Diggs or Waller. You're going to end up with the best guy on your team, probably. Maybe second best guy on your team, and you're losing a later pick, a 6th-round pick, probably for the second best guy on your roster. You're going to get a WR1 or a tight end 1. And James Robinson, you're getting an elite RB2. Good value. Next, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 5, 6. Okay, so now we have the 7, 8 is we have the guys that, I mean, they're just what you got. They're flip-flop. You could do whatever you want. Mike Davis, Gaskin, they're keepers that were undrafted. You're getting 3 rounds of value. No if, and, or buts. I mean, it's really flip-flop. They're complete opposite players. Gaskin is not a heavy runner and can get dump off central because Tua is not a great passer and not confident at all. And then you have Mike Davis, who, when Matt Ryan's going to try to go for 30-yard bombs to Ridley and Pitts down the field and they don't get it, they're going to have to run the ball down their throats. That's Mike Davis. I don't know about you. I don't know if you looked into it, but I don't know who their backup is. Todd Gurley is not there anymore.
Pretty much got the job this year. That's why I like him.
I really don't think that. Maybe I can quickly check. Let's see. Falcons running back.
Yeah, I'm pretty positive they have no depth this year.
Let's see. Falcons depth chart. Yeah, I think they have one of those guys that Ito Smith maybe.
One of those fucks.
Oh my God, yeah. I like this pick so much. Their depth chart right now is Mike Davis. You don't know who their RB2 is?
Let me hear it.
Cordell Patterson.
Oh, that's perfect.
That man's a receiver.
And Mike Davis is going to be getting all the meaningful rushing touches.
So I'm gonna and he's gonna get touchdown. He's gonna get goal line looks because his legs are the size
of a guy that's capable of being close to a top 12 back if he gets the opportunity. So I think he has the opportunity this year. So we'll see. He's a guy
that I wouldn't. I mean, he can fall in. He can end up being a top RB12, which would be RB1.
I'm saying a good RB2, basically.
But I wouldn't be okay with him being my best running back. But that's obviously, I assume, I don't know your draft strategy. You're probably going to want to go for a running back in the first 3 rounds, and they're probably going to be better than him. But having him as an RB2 can't really complain about that.
Not at all.
Next, you have the 2 worst keepers in value. I'm sorry, guys. This isn't me. I'm just strictly telling you ADP. This is strictly just what's going on. You have number 9. You have Deontay. I know Tucker loves him. I think he got a lot of upside, I guess. But, I mean, nothing really changed in their offense. They're still going to throw the ball a million times. They still have 2 other very rosterable receivers. They have 3 different WR2s. 3. If you wake up and you see a guy you're playing next day having Claypool, Poo-Poo, or Deontay as their WR2, that's not bad. Those are decent guys. So a lot of heads to feed, but he gets all the touches. He just needs to keep not dropping balls. But Tucker gets 2 rounds, maybe a round and a half, depending on where your draft position is. And then last, it might help him if he ends up getting a top 3 pick. But if he does not get a top 3 pick, the worst keeper is going to be Travis Kelce. Just because if he ends up with the 8th, if Scone ends up with the 9th pick, then that means that he is really not getting much for Kelce. He's getting maybe a couple picks worth, because maybe Kelce realistically probably can maybe fall to that 10 or 11th pick that felt like Julio always teetered around, borderline first, but not here.
I think he's in that range.
I think Kelce can end up being a 10th or 11th overall pick in other leagues. So, but if you're Scone and you end up with the 11th pick, you're getting him for maybe 3 or 4 picks higher than you could have. Obviously,
there's just not a lot of added value for the keeper.
Obviously, yes. I mean, there's not. The value you're going to get. Obviously, I mean, not knocking Travis Kelce. He's a WR1
still good
tight end. The man. You wake up on Sunday morning and you see ESPN projects him with 17.5 points as a tight end spot. That's always going to give you the advantage. So that's why I take back this slander. I'm just saying that he's only getting 1 round. And the big thing is that Scone gave up his 3rd round pick. He gave up his 3rd round pick for him. So like, what happens if Scone ends up with the 10th pick and he takes, I don't even know. Let's see. So let's see the ADP looking like right now. Say he ends up with the 10th pick. Say he takes Austin Eckler, right? Maybe Jonathan Taylor if he falls. Actually, no, I got to take into consideration that there's a couple guys that are going to be keepers that but okay, so say he ends up with Austin Eckler with the 10th or 11th pick. Then he gets Kelsey. Then he doesn't have a 3rd round pick. Then his next pick will be in the early 4th round. So you're looking early 4th round right now is looking like you're going to end up, your 3 best players are going to go Eckler, Kelsey, and then maybe Amari Cooper, Julio Jones. Just to put in perspective, the guys that ADP have in early 4th round are Josh Allen, Myles Gaskin, keeper, Julio, Kyle Pitts, Mike Evans, Mike Davis, keeper, Amari Cooper, Kyler, Robert Woods, Robinson's a keeper. So, like if Scone ends up with the top 3 pick, he's a mastermind. That little short guy has a lot of knowledge in there because the man can end up with, a stud top heavy team. He can end up with Dalvin, Kelsey, and then, maybe Josh Allen or something like that, or Julio. But like,
We're gonna find out if Scone knows.
We're gonna find out if that little guy
That's
knows.
it.
But so I think that's really it. Thank you for tuning in for the first ever Flipside podcast. Very excited for this. Gonna also like to thank my my guest Danny Robinson for hopping on with me.
Anytime.
It was a great time. And yeah, so I just want to hope that those guys that have not selected their keepers yet really take a good listen to this, especially Beej and Tugwell. I mean, just don't want you guys to fall back. I mean, maybe I did the research and did your job for you. Maybe you guys have not researched, but I think that that's really all. I think that's just time to sign off, and we'll catch you boys on the flip side.
Sounds good. Peace out.